we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I am doing very well today. All right, so let's get rolling for the data. All right, so we're gonna go all the way backwards, and then there's a sequence here of 10 questions. I have a
Okay.
couple that I'll probably just ask off the top of my head. So the first one, this is specifically Matt based. What was the biggest moment since you've been a lender or just entrepreneur that you would call your uptick moment that led you to the chapter you're currently in?
So I was on another podcast. It was basically the one thing that made me step up and make some big changes that eventually made us a bunch of money and has consistently done that is before in the past, when we started our first mortgage company, we never got our FHA licenses because FHA changed in 2005. And I didn't keep up with that. And it became easier to do FHA loans. So when we opened our mortgage company in '05, we didn't get licensed in FHA. And since we weren't licensed in FHA, it caused a big issue because everything shifted to FHA right in the collapse, during the collapse. So from going forward, I always tried to stay on our product changes and stay really focused on knowing my industry. And so since then, we've been able to take advantage of some big ones with reverse, with VA cash out oil stuff, with our program. We were at one point, we had that came out in 2010. Me and Tom Eves, who Tom Eves is one of our branch managers, we had heartprogram.gov for org, and the government's was heartprogram.gov, and ours was actually a problem. Actually, I Googled for a little bit, and then Google forced it down. So staying ahead of that stuff has really helped me to really boost my career. That's where I make my money now, is just being on top of that stuff.
So the next question was, when did you realize you were actually good at what you do? And then the reason why I'm asking that question is it says most operators do not know their superpower.
So I always tell people I was an old lineman, so I suck at bragging about myself. But I would say what you knew I was really good at it was probably in 2011 or 10. That's when people started, other branch managers started coming to me for advice, and then in meetings they'd ask me to answer. And then they would take me to the corporate event to talk with the corporate people out. And that's how I must be good at this because they're using me as the knowledge source for the whole group. So I was like, wow, then that's not how other people telling me that. I hear it a lot, man. It's weird for me to hear it just because I'm not good at it, but I'm real smart. I'm like, well, I don't feel smart.
You should see what I'm thinking about.
And so I guess that was the first time I realized I must be good at this because people were looking to me for that type of stuff.
So then when, and this doesn't have to be top three, this could be top one or two. When were your best seasons if you were to go back and look at that, let's call it from 2010, 11 till now? And then what were you doing correctly during that period that other people may not have noticed?
So Harp was great. I mean, we blew up. We went from 12 loan officers to 100. Just because we were ahead of that one, and we had the marketing source. And so we were able to start that early. A lot of people thought it was going to be a fad. We just knew it was going to be real big. So that Harp season, which was basically 11 and 12, we were heavy. I'd say 11 was Lakewood. And then again, 15 and 16, we ended up doing a lot of VA or cash out stuff. We're doing a billion a year, a little bit over $1 billion a year in loan volume, so over 100 million plus a month. So that was a pretty heavy year. That was probably the most money I made in single years. Probably the biggest money making year for me. Production wise, it was huge too. And then again, we really took advantage of that. And the third one would have been when rates dropped. Everybody really captured the advantage on the side of things. We were doing a lot of reverses to reverse refis, and we're making a lot from those. Cash flow in my pocket. I think the gross income was more than the net income was less. Just because we were trying to grow our business, so we were making that money, so you're spending a lot of it because underwriter back when it was $225,000 a year to get one of those people. So the net was less in my pocket. Marketing was more expensive, so the overall costs were more. But
So when you think back to that period, what were you doing back there? What were you doing right that you don't think people noticed you were doing right that made those years that successful?
We understood that loan before everybody else. And when you get a year advantage, or let's call it 5-month advantage, as long as you keep pushing, you just keep ahead. You know what I mean? So that's what we did. We got to the advantage early, and then we just ran. And we ran it until that ran out. So that we're always, no matter what, people found out about Harp a year later, 8 months later, but we were already 8 months ahead of them. So our knowledge on that, who to tell out what to do, we're 8 months ahead of them. So they were just figuring out what we figured out 8 months earlier, and they never caught up. So we were able to on that one pretty heavy. Same thing with the girl stuff.
Because all right, you answered the next one. It was what client type or deal type have you won at disproportionately? Which is it? What about client type? Is there a specific client type throughout the years that you think you do better with, or is that loan to client situation dependent?
So I think it would be situation dependent. It's tough to like me personally. I really do want people that want to learn, just in general, because I do like to teach people about what's going on in their own process. So those people that really want to learn and really want to talk about it, that I love. You know what I mean? The person that the people that don't want to talk to me, I still get the loan done early, but it's the person that literally wants to learn, literally calls you all the time, follows up. I want to learn more about this. Sometimes I feel like again, I don't feel smart, so when I'm talking to these people, I don't want to hope you think I'm talking down to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to teach them, and in some cases, some people just don't care. They just want their loan closed. You know what I mean? So those ones I'll do that too. That's great.
So you do well with the engineer guy who's like, give me the exact reason why my number is this one. And you're like,
yeah, I love to give the whys, yeah, and then going back, like, here's what we're doing next, here's what we're doing now, here's why we're doing this, here's the details of this, here's your choices, here's where I'd go, here's why. You know what I mean? But those are the ones that something like that, but that's because they're getting exposed for their knowledge.
No, I agree. Not as many people in Ohio. There's two realtors I thought of out of state when you said that were literally bitching and moaning because their son, I think, is an engineer at the local college, and they have 6 friends that are all getting their 6-figure job, and they don't have a lender that's numbers based. They're all like the vibe lender. And next one, this is a shift here. So what are some messaging or branding decisions you've made where you went all in on an opinion and it worked? So this is like being about a loan, being confident about market conditions. This could be you were saying that something was broken at a time when everyone was acting like it was fixed. Messaging wise, when have you been the most confident?
So when the opinion one was the hard one. There's a lot of people were telling us, I buy that product, or there's no way this is going to work out. We're going to lose money on these loans. I did battle a lot of people to go, because it was unlimited LTV. You could literally be 300,000 underwater and you can still get a refinance. You know what I mean? So that's really an Obama product. He was trying to make sure that people don't do monthly payments on time. And there was warrants were leaked to 12 months. So there was a lot of feel bad over those first 4 months, but then when the profits started to roll in, they realized that those loans, not only they perform, but there's only a 12-month revenue warrant, which means as long as they make their payments on time for 12 months, that you can't Fannie and Freddie can't say here's a buyback. And then once all the investors were on board with it, and they realized how profitable it was, then it just blew up for us, and we were ahead of it, like I said. So I'd say that was the one where everything I do is data driven, but my advice is that there was a safe zone in other people's opinions where it wasn't.
Okay. What's the loudest marketing you've ever done? Not most successful, not best ROI. What's the loudest marketing you've ever done?
I think I'm really bad at loud marketing. So I don't know. I'd say I'm very bad at loud marketing. I think the loudest piece I ever done was the podcast clip where I talked about, hey, we get $100 million a month. Now you're a pimp if you do $100 million a year. And we were doing $100 million a month, and I was in my mind going, hey, look at us, we're doing $100 million a month. That was a piece of them.
Yeah.
I was the first time we talked about loan volume that we've done. I said, but other than that, I was never really a loud personal marketer. I've utilized people to market for our group, where we get loan officer to post about the volume and all that stuff and how much money we're doing and volume. Again, to that. For me personally, I haven't done a lot of marketing in that manner.
Okay.
Outbound. But again, I've marketed for a ton of stuff, like you've done, with HML and all that stuff.
So I think a framework that'll help you through this is simple, louder, details quieter. So if we're doing like I need to trust this guy, this sounds like what you're stronger at, slow, detailed. If there's like something where I'm like, hey, aren't you doubling down on this? You can be loud, but loud has to be simple or else people don't hear it. So that's kind of, that'll be like off of. Here's an inverse one. If we're to reach out to your best clients, how would they describe you? Person and service separately.
My best clients, I would say they were super well informed. They knew everything about their loan process. They were always communicated with, because I'm not super communicative. Consistent updates, everybody updates. And then of course, we close for one of my strengths is that since I have all the designations for underwriting and stuff, I know how to underwrite a file up front better than most. And so we usually get those weeks early in the contract, just of getting everything up front. And then we take care of that hard stuff up front. So it was like this process and close that part.
Okay, so that's professional side. What do they say about personal side?
Personal side, I'm caring, I do it. I would say the biggest thing that motivates me to do well and what motivates me to talk to the guys that work for me is that it's like, hey, that's a person on the other side of that thing. So, like, this is a deal for a person. You know what I mean? This is their biggest financial investment ever. So I would say I'm caring, hopefully, because that's how I try to express myself. And I truly care about the process for them, make sure it's smooth and easy and that they're well informed so they don't get stressed out. And, anxiety doesn't kill them during the process.
All right, I'm going to ask one that's not on the list. How have you not gone numb to that acknowledgement that this is the biggest deal they may ever do when you've been in this for so many cycles?
I don't go numb. That's what motivates me. Is that I want to make sure that it is smooth. If I wouldn't care about that, I don't have that. I literally, when I get alone, and it's like, you're easy to do everything in a week. I was like, yeah, because I'm not. I don't have that driven close. So I get stuff.
Okay, so then I'm going to change. The original question is, if you were to be known outside of mortgages, what would it be? But I'm going to ask a different question, a little more narrow. If you were to be known to guys that you want to recruit in the future, what do you be known to them? So a guy who's not with you right now, maybe he's somewhere else and he's the right person to join. He just doesn't know about you. What do you want to be known as the guy? So if someone's like, hey, have you talked to Matt? He's the...
So for me, one thing that people say about me that is really what it is, that's what people gravitate towards me. I have a wealth of mortgage knowledge, and then I use that to support their ability to close loans. That's the biggest thing for me, and for the people that work for me, is they know there's always, if they can't figure it out, there's always someone at a level that is above them. And to me, it's better because I think intelligence is relative. Like, I would tell people, like, he's dumb, you're smart. I'm like, well, this is the Lakers quiz show. I'm an idiot, and he's a genius. So it's like, it's all about something. I'm mortgaging. I've been on mortgaging since that scenario we talked about. So I utilize my mortgage knowledge to help them create systems, workflows, and so that works. That way, more loans, and to make it easier and smoother for them, and actually increase the productivity.
Okay, so let's go more narrow. So when I tell people I know a lender, let's say this isn't someone I work with, this is a guy I know of, and I go, oh, that's the sketchy DSCR guy. You see how quickly that, who know who it is? Or I could say, oh, that guy crushes residential. Broad, but it's a compliment. Or I could get super specific and be like, yeah, that guy's making tons of millionaires. So you see how there's the scale of bad to great. What now in that frame, throw a couple out, and this is just brainstorming, what do you people to behind your back if they're in the lending space?
That guy respects mortgage knowledge and takes his career seriously. He's seriously in a mortgage.
Yeah.
Holds himself at standards so he can help others grow wealth for their families and also when he works with clients.
And how do you think that translates to your team? How do they, what do you think they benefit? And I know a lot of this is kissing your own ass, so just as much as you can.
I care about them, get better for them. They know that I care about their success because I've worked with a lot of people who care less. Whenever you keep your open running for, and they just sit back and collect the cash. But they know that I'll jump on a Saturday night and do whatever to get a loan closed for them. I'm always accessible. Accessibility is one of my strong points. They can come in on Sunday. Christine called a deal yesterday. I was in church, and as soon as it ended over, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's accessibility, it's anytime. It's just for them too, because I care about them. But, really, that's all it is I truly care about their families and their success. So I put myself to the side. And I'm like, all right, well, this is going to help you close the loan. So be it.
Okay, so then who are the people, this is kind of podcast here, who are the people that you want to talk to more? Maybe guest categories that you never executed on, maybe it was talked about and then something hadn't happened, because I think sense for you is because you're data heavy, so it gives you more space to just get your thoughts out without pressure. So in that framework, it's how can we increase sitting across from you to allow that to come out in a better way?
Guys, I just talk to people I'm interested in learning from. You know what I mean? I want to learn about businesses. I had a couple of my buddies on. I really learned more about their business and what they're doing in their business on that podcast than I did, being president. Yeah. I've been friends with that dude since we were in college. And I learned more on that podcast about who he is as a leader and who he is in business. Because, we're always shooting. Never talking about each other's businesses. I guess, to me, I want to just talk to people I'm interested in learning about the business. There was one, and it was one with the Pretty Boy skincare line. And I learned a lot from him on that about how he runs his business. It was Tim's cousin, but it was real cool to learn about his industry and about his business. So I just like to learn, if I can get that and ask questions and learn kind of what they do and jump in a little bit, talk about what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, that works for me.
What about past clients? This one that we didn't talk too much about. I think we briefly brought it up. One, how hard do you scheduling those would be? And then two, how do you want to appear in those? Because I think that's where in my head, we're really trying to extract what is it like talking to Matt about the hard stuff financially and then seeing that it's not that hard.
I can get a couple of people on, a couple that I've worked with.
Yeah, I would say like a 1 ratio of like 3 to 4, chase who you want, B2B, like interesting character, and then put one in there because I think at the end of the day, everyone my age I know that's like asked, hey, what's homeownership like? Have you done this? They go, what's the vibe? That's their question about everything. It's how is those talks? Are they uncomfortable? Are they fun? Are they motivating? Like, they want to do it, what that's like.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what the idea unpacked is help themselves serve before they have to somebody that they have to be uncomfortable with, because that's exactly the issue. Getting in front of it was like a forced conversation. Well, I could have had, 3-4 months earlier. So yeah, I agree with you. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think the way you can do it is I think it's just going straight through the front door and telling them, hey, a lot of people who that want to do what you did, they get nervous. They think guys like me are scammers. Their parents got hurt in 08. Can we ask you a few questions of what it was like for you? It's not a testimonial. We're not asking for, a 5-star review. Probably a better one than if you did ask. And then you just do the conversation.
No, I like it. I love it. That's a great idea, because that's exactly the issue. Is that people are scared as heck to reach out. And that's what hurts, to get them on like 11 o'clock. And they're like, I want to make an offer on a house today. And I'm like, man, you got a 720 credit score, you're going to be perfectly fine, but I could have saved you $3,000 if you told me 3 months ago, it's going to be 785 right now. You know what I mean? It's
like,
something so small.
Yeah, I'll give you a story. So I have a friend who college with the guy, grew up in Stowe, very traditional, like has the connections. And I remember in like maybe August, I was like, have you considered like getting a duplex or just like starting the slow way, like doing something? And his was like a guy who ego driven, full ego attack. Dude, I'm going to run my bag up. I'm going to get a house for $600K. And I was like, what is this? But you can realize it's like so afraid to a lender, because that's what he said to me. He's like, well, what's the lender going to ask me? I'm like, dude, you're going to get a financial colonoscopy. There's no positioning this to them that, is a flex. I'm going to just help you though. And that was the thing that was crazy, is like, I don't think many people see the help. And I think the other side of it is on the internet, especially, there is a lot of 2008 remnants, especially because recently people have been clipping The Big Short a lot.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. That's why we've become, because of almost like a used car salesperson to them. And that's what I try to convey to my loan officers and my branch managers is like, listen, you've got to overcome that. And you've got to do that by being extremely caring and informative, like slow pace, do a mortgage presentation, like sit down with them and explain everything. And that's one of the rooms we're turning into, is just for that, because they have to, because these people, they're scared shitless. And if we can help make them be scared and feel good about it, then you'll have a customer that'll not only refer you people, but a client for other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have a final, more open-ended one. Who are the people that peripherally know of you that you would like to bring into the funnels in the next couple months, right? So it's like, who are those people that are like probably friends with you, maybe on an email list, but we just haven't spoke loud enough that it's like a real magnet. Obviously the event helps with this a ton, but like who is your crowd? This is you tags in a CRM. Just, I'm curious from your own words, like who are the people that are a step away?
Customers, loan officers, or realtors?
Category.
Yeah, so I've got really invite for that event.
Okay.
So I have maybe 4 about. You want me to name the people or no?
You might as well, honestly. Data. I over the weekend spent a lot of my computer time on this thing called Obsidian. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because I realized using Google Drive as our knowledge base for everything, which is great. Google's not going anywhere, but it's not offline, and you do need internet for it. And so I'm realizing now, especially with how much we've started using Claude with ChatGPT, I'm like, I probably need to have offline.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a real close friend, Andy Makovic. He's the VP of Experience over at Cross Country, so I'd love to have him on the pod.
Yep.
Evan Eastep, I went to school with him. He's a pretty big doctor-based He has the position loans. He's at Truist now.
Okay.
But he's a ton of volume. He's like the man to go to when it comes to the position loans. So I'd love to learn more about that and how he's managed that and marketed that and got himself in that position.
Okay.
Let me see. So there's a whole bunch of people in that. I have like influential people. I think Christine probably about that. Influential people, dream team, and then the other people that you'd like to have.
Mm-hmm.
Like people working with loan officer wise, there's definitely this guy David Goldberg. He was part of the group that was with us, and now he's with Keller. There's some people I don't love to interview, like Kate Heffernan over at Liberty. She's pretty good loan officer wise.
Is she the whatchamacallit?
Marla Loneland, I think was the name of her stuff.
I drive by that every day on the way to the gym. Yep.
I don't know. That's a cool vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And she handles them like it, for special situations. What else is there? Of course, Ed Huck, Michael Kane, and then customers, clients wise, got some different opposite businesses. Like, of course, my brother, who's a surgical officer over at Southwest, hip and knee surgeon.
Oh, wow.
Him talking about hospitals and how they are. Greg Single, I like to get on there. He used to be the CFO for BW. Talk about how colleges are running. He tried and saved BW. That's like a big, huge issue. And a new person came in out now, so I can probably talk about it a little bit more, but about just how tough it is to move that type of a ship from unprofitable to profitable. Same thing with hospitals.
Real quick connection for the transcript. When you do the physician loan, do your brother after, like that order.
Okay. Yeah.
1, 2. Continue.
When I have Matt on there, he's so old, but I don't think he does a good job doing it. But he used to run all the unions in Cleveland back in the day. So he was the head of the building trades. So I'd love to have him on just talk about, because most of those guys that he was working with are all dead because my dad's 88.
Is he still kicking at 88, or is he gonna like?
He goes to the gym a week. He's still there, mentally there, 100%. He's just old, so old school. I don't know if he would do it. I asked him yesterday. You gotta come. He's like, I don't know. He's an old school Italian guy.
You might need to just be like, hey, listen, we're having lunch in the podcast room, and the cameras are they're just rolling the whole time.
He's old school. And then of course, customers I worked with, I know about 4 or 5. I'm not letting them break one.
Yeah.
So
my thought, just comments. Anytime it closes and it's positive, let's have some sort of, hey, we'd love to interview you about your experience and ask you a few questions, and then downsell them into the 5-star Google. If you aren't someone that wants to do this, we'd love your feedback here. So we're still kind of like telling them to do it. We'll send the outreach message after this call is summarized. Thing I want to do is book 3 months out. Just be one of those things, because people are wish-washy with podcasts, as you're aware. They're going to move all around. So every time we do one of these and plan, every message gets sent within like 3 days of it. I think it's just an easy window. What about community stuff? Like, where are you at outside mortgage world? I know church. I'm not always saying bring the camera in, but I'm just saying church is a community event. What other things do you do where you meet people that I may not know about?
So I'm involved with Christ Church up the street. So we do a lot of stuff for the kids. And then I used to do stuff community-wise, but I've been slacking just because I've been busy. I used to do, but I would still do it, but they won't let us. Like a really cost me amount of man used to go and feed people were passing on their hospice, basically.
Yep.
So we can feed them in the mornings. And then my brother, not my doctor brother and me, but my middle brother, who's a construction worker, he is clean and sober for like 20 years now, but he was at a place called the Lantern, so I do a lot of stuff with them too. So I do a lot of it. We do and try to help out that place as much as possible because that place helped him out.
Where is that?
Lantern's in Cleveland. The guy that owns it, his dad invented the house, and so it's free. It's like there's 2 facilities now. Actually,
that sounds familiar for some reason. Is it like a brown building? I might be thinking of something else called the Lantern.
It's in Trisket. Basically, it's in Cleveland. No, it's basically a rehab facility. It's an outpatient. After you get out of there, you can stay there, and it's a huge facility. We got, like I said, the guy that owns it. His daughter died. She overdosed, and his dad invented the state. So the guy has a business and still makes a ton of money from it.
Yeah.
So he allows an event facility, but also a ton of events, which is awesome. Yeah, so there's like golf outings and dinners and spaghetti stuff. We just try to help out as much as possible with that stuff too.
So I'm going to make a little demand of 1 community event per month. And these are the ones where if you're there solo and you need a list, I can make it. If this is the one where it's like, hey, I'd rather have help there and film a podcast in the office, like start planning those. Because the thing I with you is I don't think there's a shortage. I think consistency with just booking people is going to be the game, and then following through. I think it's going to be, who is this guy outside of mortgage? I think that's going to be the question people want answered, because I think the who is this guy in the mortgage will get answered and repeatedly answered. So that's where I think it's like, what are the things you're involved in? I've done it in the last 3 months with dogs. That's like our thing right now. And dude, it's wild how many wholesalers are out to me, and I feel terrible. I don't have a solution. They're like, bro, there's 2 pit bulls in this house, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. But when that demand starts, I'm now seeing, like, it's crazy. Since just even posting about city dogs, I've had people reach out to us that are like, hey, there's this group of hippie women that are like not really incorporated, but they'll go save a dog for you. And I'm like, it's stuff like that where just me putting it out a little bit gets you these things behind closed doors. You're like, that feels good.
I get you. That makes sense, because then picking some type of identity too outside of them.
And those are the hard ones. It's hard, like, I imagine, to be like, you can say that, brother, it's awesome, he's been clean and sober, but then it's that moment of like, man, I have no idea what people are think when they see me standing out front of here, and most of it will be good, but it's... I
don't really care at this age. I'm almost 50. I could care less.
Yeah, that's probably more...
I'm one of those that's like super happy, and like, it took you just like anybody else, and just because of the way I brought up, so big dudes, my not feeling right expressed itself in violence. You know what I mean? So it was like, there wasn't no happy, sad, mad. There was just happy, mad.
On, off.
You know what I mean? The big dude. You see that big, one big guy. Now that I'm older, I'd say probably in the 40s, I started to be super comfortable with myself, and now it's just like, I don't even know, like, I'm always just kind of, I'll get like frustrated as like anybody else for minutes, but most of the time I'm just pretty happy.
Yeah.
I don't really care what people think at this point. I'm already in the back half of my life, so if I can't make it this bad, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's a lot of data people.
Well,
all right, and then I guess the last one here is, if there were to be sport memes or a format introduced that wasn't 100% business, what is your background outside of mortgage, just so I know who you are as a person?
I mean, you said not sports, so...
No, sports can be a part of it.
I'm a big Ohio State fan.
Okay.
Because I played for Tressel back in the day.
Oh, really?
Young State. I mean, I was average at best football player, but it was a great experience. Won a couple of national championships at YSU while I was there. Won 2 of them. I mean, there was a couple of back to work. And there's a bonus line. I still talk to him every once in a while. He's one of the DW games, and we just shoot the shit.
That is sweet. I had no idea.
Yeah, so when he went to Ohio State, at that point, I became a huge Ohio State fan. So I am a huge Ohio State fan. I watch 0 professional sports.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV. I'm super weird. I haven't watched I have a bunch of TVs in the house. I don't watch any of them.
Just protect your brain. Is it mostly out of just protect your brain, and you already have so much other things to think about? It's like, why add more?
I mean, see, it's not like I knock people that watch TV. It's just I don't get what other people. So like other people watch a show and their brain, it doesn't do that to me. It keeps me up. So I watch videos that I've had learning, kind of like reading and learning, kind of brain and download. So that's how I can go to sleep. So that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So it's not anything cool or like I'm cool because I actually TV will melt your brain. It's just it makes me want to stay up. If I watch a documentary or I watch a TV show,
you're gonna watch the whole thing.
I get riled up, right? Yeah, I gotta watch the whole thing, and then at the end of the movie, like, fuck, I'm not gonna be asleep for another hour, so I don't do it. It's just I get home by eat dinner with the family on my iPad, just start reading and learning.
Start chilling. Yeah, I've reduced a lot sports. The sports stress me out, and I think it's the same reason, because I know I'll start caring, and I can't care. If I start caring, then defeats the purpose.
And you don't care about either, you care less. So I'm like, it's a waste of my emotion.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I'm wasting my emotion. I'm gonna be wide awake. I'm gonna be all frustrated. Why? You know what I mean?
My mom always will call, and she'll hear me. I'll be like, oh, I had a really long day. Like, I worked 12 hours, but it was good because, whatever happened. And all she hears at the end is she's like, well, your stepdad and I watched this movie that I'd like to recommend. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, thanks. I'll watch it in a year.